On today's podcast, breaking news: the Cleveland Browns have traded quarterback Baker Mayfield to the Carolina Panthers. What does this now mean for the Panthers? They have a new quarterback, and what can they do to build around him? Also, with the addition of Baker Mayfield, will Sam Darnold be shipped out to another team, or will there be a QB competition to see who gets that starting spot? All that will be covered today on Cooper Sports Podcast. And you are now listening to Cooper Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Cooper Brooks, bringing you the best content from the NBA and NFL each podcast so that way you may have the best learning experience. And today's episode is episode 8, and we have some breaking news out of the NFL. Ian Rapoport has reported this afternoon that the Panthers are acquiring former number 1 overall pick Baker Mayfield from the Browns for a 2024 conditional 5th round draft pick. So it looks like the Cleveland Browns somehow listened to my podcast from yesterday, and they did the right thing, and they traded Baker Mayfield. So, ladies and gentlemen, the deed has been done. After a long-awaited stand, Baker Mayfield has officially been traded to the Carolina Panthers. So, with that being said, let's get into it. All right, so Carolina has a new quarterback. His name is Baker Mayfield. What do I think about this trade? I absolutely love it. You guys heard from yesterday's podcast about how I was going off on Cleveland Browns saying this is not good for him. This is not a good environment for Baker Mayfield to be on this team right now with the ongoing situation right now with Deshaun Watson. It's not good for him. He needs to go and be somewhere else. And, well, it looks like somebody was just scrolling through Spotify or YouTube, I guess, and saw that this episode was being talked about, and boom, they finally did it. I mean, it's not true, obviously. They probably didn't. They could have, but, But, so boom, the deal was done. Carolina will be getting Baker Mayfield, and it also, Ian Rapoport also reported that the Browns will pay Baker Mayfield $10.5 million this season, which means that they've trimmed over $8 million in cash and salary cap space. The Panthers will pay Mayfield $5 million. Mayfield agreed to trim $3.5 million off his base salary. So I guess they're going to trim his salary and his pay so that way they can have enough room for cap space, since they'll be over cap space. But so he was traded. A quarterback like Baker Mayfield is going to be traded for conditional 5th round draft pick. So I think what that means is that if he does good, then that one can move up to a higher draft pick, like a 4th rounder maybe or so. But a conditional 5th round pick, I'd say that's something that probably would work. A quarterback like Mayfield, I don't know. A 5th round, maybe, but I don't know. You got yourselves a new quarterback, Carolina. So now, where do I stand with all this? As I just mentioned, well, I like the trade, obviously. I think it's a very good thing. Carolina now will have options. Carolina can now build around Baker Mayfield, and they can get some missing pieces that they need. I've heard a lot about this so far today. I've heard a lot about the Panthers' offensive line. Maybe I've heard that they could probably fix them up a little bit, sign some guys, maybe bring in some new guys and just fix them so that way you can have a healthy line. I've heard a lot about the defense too. You have J.C. Horn, who's currently out with an injury. So he'll be back. He'll be healthy. You got to get that defense going. And then you have, Mr. CMC, Christian McCaffrey. Mr. gets paid a lot of money but is hurt. You could build something, and then you have Robbie Anderson, obviously, which we'll get to Robbie Anderson too, because I have a couple of things to talk about Robbie Anderson. But you have these pieces, and now you want to fix them and build around them so that way you can make Baker feel like he's that quarterback and that he's that guy that he's your guy. I should say that he's your guy that you picked for this reason. So it's been in the trade talks, obviously, for the past few months of free agency that the Panthers are the number 1 team to trade for Baker Mayfield if a trade were to happen. Well, now they have him. So now there's a quarterback. There's another quarterback on the Panthers that probably wants this. That's probably thinking about this trade. His name is Sam Darnold, and we're going to get into that real quick. So now you have Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield. So now people are wondering who will start for Baker Mayfield. Honestly, that's not even a question, you guys, about who's starting. It's obviously Baker Mayfield. Like, again, no offense to Sam Darnold, but I also did mention this yesterday in the podcast about the Panthers possibly trading for Cam Newton, or I'm sorry, Baker Mayfield before this even happened. I was saying in the podcast yesterday, Sam Darnold is just not there, guys. Like we thought the problem with him was being on the Jets, and we all thought that. But then a lot of us, maybe some of us, a lot of us, I don't know, but a lot of us did think it was the Jets. Then he gets to Carolina, and then it's literally not the Jets. It's just him. I don't think Sam Darnold needs to be the starting quarterback anyway. I don't. I don't want to bash the guy or hate him. I don't. I don't want to like be mean to. But I'm just basically saying that I don't. This is not even a question, ladies and gentlemen. This is Baker Mayfield will be the starting quarterback, and he will be playing Week 1 against his former team, the Cleveland Browns, in Cleveland. So that's going to be a good one. I'm looking forward to that game. But you're probably going to have a QB challenge competition between Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold, it didn't work out well for him in Carolina, and it didn't really work out in New York, although he was a longtime Jet. But still, it's like I don't think that if you gave up this for Baker Mayfield, a fifth round, if you gave up this kind of a draft pick for Baker Mayfield for a guy like Baker Mayfield, you obviously are going to start him. Like I don't know why you would want to go into the QB competition. Like maybe you want to give Sam Darnold a chance if that's the reason why. But Ben McAdoo and Matt Rule are about to change some stuff up. I know that for sure. You know, it's probably not even going to be re-signed by them. So Matt Rule and Ben McAdoo, I think they're about to change some stuff up. They're going to go out and get some guys. They're going to change their coaching with Mayfield, and they're going to make him feel like he belongs here, which I think he does belong here. So let's think about this. Out of all the quarterbacks that the Panthers needed, why Baker Mayfield? Well, let's start. Well, let's think about this first. What other choice did Carolina have, guys? Carolina was literally the top team for the past few months to get Baker Mayfield in free agency. And you knew this was going to happen too. Like just because the Browns were saying this isn't going to happen, you knew it was going to happen. Baker had already made it clear back in March that he didn't want to be there. He was upset with the team, and then what did they do? They go out and get Deshaun Watson, and he's not happy. And then you still want to keep him. Well, now you don't have Baker Mayfield, and by the way, this is all on the Browns again, as I mentioned in yesterday's podcast. This is all on the Browns. Okay. The Panthers just traded for Baker Mayfield, or the Browns traded Baker Mayfield to the Panthers, but the Browns are like, this is their mess. Because now your backup quarterback is Jacoby Brissett, I believe. I can't remember. I don't even remember who the backup is supposed to be. I don't know if it's Jacoby Brissett. I think Jacoby was on the Colts. I don't know. I haven't kept up much with him. But you guys let me know if it's Jacoby Brissett or not. But basically, what are your options on a quarterback for Cleveland? Cleveland, you just gave up Baker Mayfield, which was a good idea. But you brought this, again, guys, you brought this upon yourselves, Cleveland. You're the ones that decided to go get a man that's dealing with a whole entire civil case and might be suspended. And now the way that you treated Mayfield and the coaching wasn't working out for him either. Like I thought after Kevin Stefanski and Mayfield when they took the Browns to to the playoffs in 2020, I thought, maybe Stefanski is a good coach. Maybe he is coaching that team right. Nope. After this year, they completely fail. They don't make the playoffs. And apparently, Nick Chubb has been getting, and with speaking of that, Nick Chubb, and Kareem Hunt are getting half snaps each game. I think you fully commit to Nick Chubb. Why else would you have him there? What is Kareem Hunt known for? Kicking a woman. Okay, so again, why not just start Nick Chubb? Like, come on. This is completely like it's you gotta when you want to coach your right defense, you gotta look at it aside where I want to start Nick Chubb over Kareem Hunt instead of getting them half snaps. And again, Kareem in general is not a bad running back. He's really good, but in the end, Nick Chubb, you still gotta pay Chubb, by the way, I think. I don't think Chubb's paid yet. So you're about to be in the water for cap space because you also signed Denzel Ward to a huge 5-year deal, and then you just signed Deshaun Watson to a huge 5-year deal with the guaranteed money, by the way. So that's going to be y'all's mess. Baker's gone. He doesn't have to deal with any of that. But also reports that he will have to do a physical tomorrow. So when apparently Baker just flew in from vacation. So tomorrow when Baker is home, he will do his physical so that way the trade can officially go through. So as long as he get that physical done, you have your new quarterback, Carolina. So again, I think this is a huge W for the Carolina Panthers. Again, they didn't have other options. I wasn't with keeping Sam Darnold as your starting quarterback. Dude is not there. He's never been the same. I just can't recall a big moment. I'm sure Sam Darnold has little big moments in his career, but I just can't remember a big one. But you just found your guy, Carolina. I'm proud of y'all. Honestly, if I'm a Carolina fan or if I'm a Carolina player, I would be really happy about this trade. I really do. And speaking of being happy with trades, we're about to get into a certain player on the Carolina Panthers that's had some saying about this. So y'all know receiver Robbie Anderson made it clear and he expressed his opinions on social media about it. Back in March when they were talking about the Panthers potentially being the landing spot for Baker Mayfield if he were to get traded, apparently Robbie Anderson had commented he had said no, like basically saying he would not want to have Baker Mayfield as their starting quarterback, which kind of amazes me because now what he just said today, as the trade happened today, Robbie Anderson came out and said, "Y'all need to stop with all that talking. Y'all need to stop like lying." Like whatever he had said, because I just watched the press conference video. Whatever he tweeted saying that y'all need to stop the talk. I wasn't trying to be this and that. Like I wasn't trying to be a lie or anything. Well, Robbie Anderson, he said that if I can remember what it was, he was just talking about how y'all guys were, everybody was not. He was saying that all that was a lie. Basically, I don't. He was okay. He said, "I don't have an issue with Baker. Stop trying to paint that narrative." Well, Robbie, we can paint that narrative because you're the one that came out and said it a while months back in free agency. So we can paint the narrative. We have evidence too. So now, and then he's on the press conference saying how, I was he wanted to also be defending his quarterback Sam Darnold. Like he wants to be there and defend him. Okay, how can you defend Sam Darnold like that and say that, Robbie, towards the end of the season, weren't you just getting on to Sam Darnold? There's video of you going at Sam Darnold for being pissed off at him after a play happened or a drive occurred. Like you gave him a mean look. So Robbie, come on, man. Like, be serious about this. Are you happy with the Mayfield trade or are you not? You should be happy actually with the Mayfield trade because this is a huge upgrade over Sam Darnold. Baker Mayfield will be the starting quarterback, and Baker Mayfield will play week 1 against Carolina. Mark my words on that. And if he's not playing week 1, if he's not starting week 1, then shoot, I must have guessed wrong. Or I must think that I don't know, but Baker Mayfield will be starting week 1, and everybody knows that's the truth. Because to be honest, this is Carolina's shot. Let's so this is Carolina's shot. They just got themselves a quarterback that they probably needed in a long time. So with that, let's get into how to the division shapes out a little bit. So Carolina is now with Baker Mayfield with the addition of Baker Mayfield on the Carolina Panthers, the NFC South could go anywhere possibly. Maybe. I don't know, because this division is I was listening to Colin Cowherd, gosh knows what he's gonna say every time. But the division that the NFC South is currently in right now is weird. Like it could be Colin was saying it was a bad division. Well, here's what I think about the South, the NFC South. Okay, so as of right now, the Bucks obviously own the South. It's not that really. I don't want to say it's a really bad division, only because of the Saints. The Saints just got a little bit better. They got a lot better adding the Honey Badger, Tyrann Mathieu. I'm sorry, I should say. And then they just added a couple more young receivers, and they got Jameis Winston back, who I think is going to be healthy and playing with that team week 1. Mark my word on that one too. But the NFC South, Tom Brady and the Bucks own the South. I'm just going to say that now. They're the best team in the South. Behind them, I'd say New Orleans. With the Panthers just getting Baker Mayfield, I know that they just got him. We haven't seen him play, but I put Panthers third in the South, and then I'll put Falcons obviously in the last. And no disrespecting to the New Orleans Saints again. I think they're a great team in the South. I'm not saying that they're bad, why I put them second, but I'm just only putting the Bucks first, not just because of Tom Brady, but because what I've seen from the Bucks, what weapons they have, and how they play. Again, I see what New Orleans can do. They're a very young team. They'll get better. They're actually better right now, so I think they'll be a good team. So now the South, the NFC. Tom Brady's going to be gone within another year or so. He could play next year. He could not play next year. But with Tom Brady leaving, the South probably will be now given to the Saints, depending on who the Bucks quarterback will be. The Saints, the Saints will probably be taking that. Mayfield's about to play in the division with Tom Brady and Jameis Winston. So Mayfield may get a tie with the wins, depending on how they play, but Mayfield's about to adapt to a new environment with quarterbacks because with the addition with Carolina and getting Baker Mayfield, that's going to be a crazy division because we don't know how it's going to play out. With Brady, if Brady leaves, if Brady retires, like if Brady calls it quits, like if he officially calls it quits and doesn't come back to football, then the South will probably go to New Orleans as the new dominant team, and then Carolina will probably fall behind somewhere because the Bucks will probably fall behind 3 still. I only say the Bucks will fall behind 3 because I don't know who their new quarterback will be, and I don't know how they'll handle the situation. If they'll lose players, if they'll gain more players, we'll see how that goes down the road. But with the South, Baker Mayfield could probably get a couple division wins in by the Falcons at least, because the Falcons, I don't know what's up with Atlanta. They've made some good moves this past offseason, but I still don't think Atlanta is going to be back to that. They have a young quarterback they just drafted, but still, I don't think that they're at that spot yet. Let's be honest, guys. Atlanta hasn't been the same since that 28-3 choke lead in the Super Bowl. You know it. They know it. We all know it. But I think the South will be a good division. With Baker Mayfield, it's going to be a little different. Obviously, the Panthers will probably get better now with a new quarterback. Mayfield might not always be as accurate as always. Like I said, it wasn't working out with Cleveland well. He wasn't performing well. I think he'll perform a little better. I'm glad that Mayfield's also with Carolina. Another reason why is also because he could spread his talent elsewhere. Because you could tell even by reports and just by even Mayfield himself, he didn't like it there. He was just mad with Cleveland, how they were coaching and how it just played out. Like I had mentioned in yesterday's podcast, it basically spreads more opportunities for Baker Mayfield. He can have a new team, have his own team again, and he could work with the receivers, and he dang sure as well will work with Robbie Anderson. Robbie Anderson better hope that Baker Mayfield is. I hope they work together and become a good duo. But at this point, with the South, it's up for grabs if Brady leaves, because then you have Mayfield, who's still going to be a decent quarterback. He won't live up to he won't be as big as Mahomes and Herbert in them, but he'll be, if Carolina can sign the right receivers and build around him, I think Mayfield could be a good quarterback. And NFC South will be up for grabs for sure next season if Brady leaves. Now with the South, I think Brady and the Bucs take it, or I could be wrong. The Saints could have gotten a lot better over the offseason, which they did, and they could have taken Brady, or they could take the South. You never know at this point in the NFL because anybody could take anything. So, yeah, I think that trade works out. The QB competition, that's not even a thing. It should be Baker Mayfield. Sam Darnold struggles a lot. So does Baker, but Baker's more. Baker's also not more of a runner. He's more of a pocket passer. So you want to develop around him you want to build a good line around Baker as well, which is also a thing I should also get into real quick. That's why you want to build a good line around Baker Mayfield, because he's not really much of a sprinter as I see him run. Like, he's not one of those guys like obviously like Mahomes or Herbert or Lamar or Kyler, somebody that's a mobile QB that can run. Mayfield is just a guy that's can give you good deep shots and stay in the pocket. That's why they need to, because I've heard a lot about this line so far. They need to build good pieces and find good ones, so that way they can hopefully get a good squad going and maybe make the playoffs with Mayfield. But so again, QB competition, not even a thing. Should be Mayfield all the way. Mayfield being with Carolina, I like the addition. They finally got it done, Carolina. Congrats, you have yourself a new, better quarterback. As far as the Browns go, you're still in deep water, okay? Your quarterback, you don't know if he's going to play or not. So you have fun with that. But, yep, I think that's it. I think I covered a little bit. So I think I covered a lot. I got what I needed to get in. So with that being said, again, thank you for listening you're listening to Cooper Sports Podcast, wherever you may be listening from Spotify and YouTube. Thank you guys so much for all the following and the spreading messages to other people. I really enjoy that. This podcast will hopefully continue growing so that way I can get out to more people. You're listening to Cooper Sports Podcast. Thanks for listening. I'm your host, Cooper Brooks.